talk about the Tennessee Titans and everything this team has been through over the last couple of years. I will do a complete review of the 2025 NFL draft class mixed in with free agency. But before we get to that point, I want to talk about everything that has went down over the last 4 to 5 years. When we go back a few years ago, they had Mike Vrabel as a head coach. And Mike Vrabel at the time was a very successful head coach with the Titans. You had Ryan Tannehill at the quarterback position. Not one of the best quarterbacks to have, but he did have a solid outing with the Tennessee Titans. You had one of the best running backs in the NFL. At that time, you can make the case the best running back in the NFL, and Derrick Henry and A.J. Brown on the outside. The core that they had at the time was so good. They won their division. And on top of that, they went to the AFC Championship game in 2020. Unfortunately for the Titans, that was the best that they got for that organization at the time, with Ryan Tannehill, Derrick Henry, and A.J. Brown. They'll still go to the NFL playoffs, but it would not be the same. They'll eventually go out there and make one of the most shocking decisions in franchise history, and one of the worst decisions, in my opinion. They would trade A.J. Brown to the Philadelphia Eagles, and that's when you saw their offense take a major step back. Now, they still had a couple of good games left in them with Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry. The problem was this: Ryan Tannehill started to regress as a passer overall, and he was dealing with a lot of injuries due to a bad offensive line. And the play calling was not the best with Todd Downing. Even though Mike Vrabel, you could say that he was a successful head coach early on, he had some offensive coordinators that made you scratch your head, with Arthur Smith and most definitely with Todd Downing. But you saw things were starting to change, and it was time to move on from Ryan Tannehill sooner than later. So they go into the draft. They draft a quarterback in Malik Willis. He would not be the franchise starter for the foreseeable future. The next year, you have Will Levis in the second round. A lot of analysts are saying that he had first round potential. He's a big arm quarterback coming out of Kentucky. He's a man that can go out there and make every single throw. He was just inconsistent. Can be a turnover machine at times, but if you build with him, you could have something special. And he got his opportunity in his rookie season. You see, Ryan Tannehill went down with an ankle injury. It happened overseas. They put Malik Willis in the game late in the fourth quarter. He didn't look too good. Malik Willis did not have a good stint with the Tennessee Titans. But as soon as they put in Will Levis, his first game against the Atlanta Falcons, the man had 4 passing touchdowns to 0 interceptions. His rookie season was up and down, but he was never supposed to be the starter for his rookie year. It was supposed to be Ryan Tannehill. Eventually, they'll move on from Ryan Tannehill. They would trade Malik Willis to the Green Bay Packers, and then you'll give Will Levis the keys to the castle with a brand new head coach. They'll fire Mike Vrabel. Ownership came out and she said that she wanted the general manager and Mike Vrabel to be on the same page. Keep that in mind for the next couple of minutes. We fast forward to year number 2 with Will Levis. You now have Calvin Ridley on the outside with DeAndre Hopkins at the time. Will Levis regressed tremendously with Coach Callahan. The offensive line was still a major issue, but he has so many turnover plays that just made you scratch your head and say, you know what, it's time to give up on the Will Levis experiment. 2,091 passing yards, 13 passing touchdowns to 12 interceptions, and he suffered a shoulder injury, so he missed some time. And they benched him in favor of Mason Rudolph. And Mason Rudolph was not going to be the franchise quarterback for the foreseeable future either. Will Levis was so bad that he lost in 2 games in particular against the Chicago Bears. Caleb Williams only had 95 passing yards in that week 1 matchup. But yet they still lost that game because of a pick 6 by Will Levis and the fact that special teams let them down. But they had the lead in that matchup. Will Levis let them down. Against the New York Jets, he had costly turnovers in the red zone. At that point in time, you could tell Will Levis was never going to go out there and be the franchise quarterback for this organization. You could say with another team, with a different organization, he may become a superstar or just a decent quarterback in the NFL. Sure. I look at Malik Willis. He was able to go out there and defeat the Tennessee Titans with the Green Bay Packers. That's how much coaching and infrastructure matters. 2 things can be true. The talent wasn't there up front with the Titans, and Will Levis was just a bad quarterback. The offensive line talent, they're young. They still have one of the weaker offensive lines. But Will Levis was atrocious. He was terrible last season. He had 13 passing touchdowns to 12 interceptions. He was so bad the Tennessee Titans had the first overall pick. And this is where we get into the draft conversation. With the first overall pick, they selected Cam Ward, quarterback from Miami, a very good talent. He has potential to be the next Jordan Love. He's a gunslinger. He isn't your typical first overall pick, 0-star recruit coming out of high school. And it's not because he was a terrible player at the high school level. He played in the wing T offense. You're rarely going to go out there and throw the football around the field. So he didn't have that many offers. He goes to Incarnate Ward, goes over there. He was a very good player. He uplifted that program. He played so well to where NFL scouts, they're looking at him at that point in time. He was not a first-round talent, but maybe he'll go in the 4th or the 5th round. That arm has a lot of potential. So he transfers over to Miami, a better team around him, but he uplifted that talent. He was a Heisman finalist for a reason. He's a phenomenal quarterback to work with, especially in this system with Coach Callahan. Coach Callahan did not call offensive plays with the Cincinnati Bengals. That was Zach Taylor. But he got to see firsthand what Zach Taylor was able to do with Joe Burrow. Set up the right pieces up front in terms of having Jamar Chase and T. Higgins on the outside and helping develop Joe Burrow to that next level. I'm not saying that Cam Ward be the next Joe Burrow. I'm not saying that he's for sure going to be the next Jordan Love or even the next Brett Favre. But he has potential to be a great quarterback with the Tennessee Titans. They haven't had a true franchise quarterback in a very long time. Ryan Tannehill was not a franchise quarterback. He was a solid quarterback option. He was more so of a very good bridge quarterback. But I look at Cam Ward. If he can hit his ceiling early on, the Tennessee Titans could be a dangerous team in this division. And you need to have strong quarterback play. You look at CJ with the Houston Texans. That's the mold that you want to have right now if you are the Tennessee Titans with Cam Ward. And you look at the situation with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Say what you want to say about Trevor Lawrence. He has been disappointing. But they went to the NFL playoffs and they won a playoff game against the Los Angeles Chargers. You want the Tennessee Titans to be in a similar situation. And Cam Ward, he has weapons around him. You look at what they did later on in the NFL draft. We'll talk about that later on in this video. But look at the talent that they have up front. They had one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL over the last 3 to 4 years. They went to the first round. You drafted Peter Skoronski. Very good guard. He's been their best offensive lineman so far. J.C. Latham. You drafted him in the first round. In last year's draft class, he came on very strong last season. You look at Kevin Zeitler. You bring him in. He's a very good veteran guard to have around. You brought in Cushenberry in free agency. Unfortunately, he tore his Achilles last season. He was a very good center with the Denver Broncos. Only allowed one sack on over 900 snaps played. With the Tennessee Titans, he was up and down. But when he started getting to his groove, that's when he tore his Achilles. Hopefully, he can be a superstar center with the Tennessee Titans. They need this offensive line to step up. One move I don't agree with, they brought in Dan Moore Jr. for a lot of money. He allowed 12 sacks last season. And we can get into the discussion of Justin Fields and Russell Wilson. They hold on to the football for too long. They drift outside the pocket. That is true. Both of those quarterbacks, they're right-handed quarterbacks. They're going to run to the right. Dan Moore Jr. gave up a lot of pressure on the left side of the field. And right now, he's projected to be the starting left tackle with the Titans. You have a better offensive line coach over here with Coach Callahan and his dad. Everywhere his dad has been, he has produced some of the best offensive lines in league history. Hopefully that can work out. But if you give Cam Ward enough time inside the pocket, and he can make plays outside the pocket as well. But traditionally, you want your quarterback to be comfortable inside the pocket, especially if he's a rookie. You can see what he really has. And he can throw the football every single level of the field. Deep down the field, he has a beautiful deep ball, the intermediate routes, and he's a quick decision maker. It's a bunch of RPO plays that he ran in Miami. He ran every type of offense that you want to see dating back to high school. Run-heavy offense. An offense that depended on him a lot at Miami and in Carter Ward. This wasn't a situation to where he got the high behind talent. When we look at certain players, they go to Alabama, Georgia, it's really hard to get a true read of them because they're playing with great talent at the college level. He uplifted talent around him, and that's all that you can ask for out of a college kid. It may take some time for him to transition over to the NFL. It's a learning curve. But eventually, with the pieces that they have around him, with Calvin Ridley, who was a very good veteran wide receiver, you look at the numbers he was able to put up last season. He was very frustrated the first 5 weeks of the regular season, but he had 1,017 receiving yards, 4 receiving touchdowns. He's a true number one. You have Tony Pollard in the backfield mixed in with Tajay Spears, 2 very good running backs. Tony Pollard had over 1,000 yards rushing last year, 5 rushing touchdowns. He averaged 4 yards a carry. Tajay Spears, he can come in and be that backup running back in terms of just finding the open hole and just gaining tough yards. That's what Tajay Spears can do, and he can catch the football out of the backfield, more so of a safety blanket. We have Chika Kongwo at the tight end position spot. Mix him in with Gunnar Ham, who he selected with the 120th pick. And Gunnar Ham from Texas, 6'5", 250 pounds, 786 receiving yards, 7 receiving touchdowns on the season. He's a big body tight end. Now you can run a 2 tight end set. And once again, we got to see Cam Ward do this at the college level, where he can target the tight ends. He can beat you up the seams. Any type of throw that you want, he can make. And even when he did have turnovers at the college level, he was able to make up for them later on in the game. He kept Miami in the matchup every single week. So with the weapons that they have, they aren't the best. This is not a situation like the Cincinnati Bengals. You have 1A and 1B and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. But the weapons, they aren't bad. They're very solid for a rookie quarterback in Cam Ward. It just comes down to the offensive line protection, and can Coach Callahan really develop him? This is when we can get a true read of Coach Callahan. I'm going to also say this. Ownership, please give Coach Callahan some time. And the same with your brand new general manager. She fired Rand after 2 years. Apparently, he did not gel well with Mike Vrabel. She fired Mike Vrabel the year after she fired Rand. She has to stop being so impulsive. Now you have a general manager that's in lockstep with your head coach. Let them grow together. Don't just fire them after 2 to 3 years. Give them the full 5 years and see what they have. If they flame out, you try. But I really believe that the Tennessee Titans, they have something here with Cam Ward and the pieces that they have on the offensive end. And speaking of more weapons around Cam Ward, with the 103rd overall pick, you selected Chime Dike, who's a very good wide receiver coming over from Florida. He's a deep threat. 783 receiving yards in the year, 3 receiving touchdowns. He will be able to fit very well inside that slot, playing alongside Calvin Ridley, Chika Kongwo at the tight end position, and the same with Gunnar Ham. You're trying to fill out your roster and bring in some young talent that you can hope can really grow and develop with Cam Ward. Kevin Winston Jr. is a safety that you selected with the 82nd overall pick. Now look at this defense with the Tennessee Titans. One of the moves I really didn't agree with, but I understand. They moved on from Harold Landry. Harold Landry was a very good pass rusher, had 9 sacks last season. He is a bit of a catfish. He'll go out there, he'll be a cleanup sack guy, but he was able to go out there and give you consistent pressure. The back end of this defense is very strong, and we saw it last year. The fact that the Tennessee Titans had the top end defense, considering the fact that they had 2 turn machines at the quarterback position with Mason Rudolph and Will Levis, says a lot about this defense. And for the first 8 weeks of the regular season, this was their best unit. Their defense and their special teams unit. Their defense is very good. They have one of the better defenses in the NFL overall with Tavondre Sweat and Jeffrey Simmons. And I will say this about Tavondre Sweat. Be on lookout for him next season. When you give him another training camp, he's entering his sophomore year. He's playing alongside Jeffrey Simmons. And Jeffrey Simmons had 5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles last season. This has top 10 rushing defense written all over it with the pieces that they have up front. And the same with Joseph Day, who is a very good run stopper in his own right. You do have Draymond Jones coming over from the Seattle Seahawks. I look at Draymond Jones. He's never going to go out there and be a top sack leader for your team. He's a solid rotational pass rush to have. And he's very solid against the run. I can't argue with that decision there. Cody Barton, solid veteran to have around. With the Seahawks, he got a lot of hate. With the Denver Broncos, he looks solid. And I look at Cody Barton. Sometimes you just need to bring in a veteran that can do everything for you. 53 solo tackles, 1.5 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 2 interceptions on the year. And you look at Arden Key, 6.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles. So they have pieces that can go out there, get to the quarterback on a consistent basis, and just have a plethora of defensive linemen that can stop the run. And you need that in this division. The Houston Texans, right now, they still have a weak offensive line. That's the best way to defeat the Houston Texans. And the Tennessee Titans, they beat them last season. They split with the Texans, which is impressive. The Jacksonville Jaguars, they have Trevor Lawrence. They have a weak interior offensive line. Get to the quarterback with your top 2 defensive tackles, and then it should free up space on the outside for those pass rushers. As far as their secondary, you acquired L'Jarius Sneed a year ago. You traded a high pick for him. L'Jarius Sneed was a true number 1 cornerback for the Chiefs. The problem was this: before he got injured and he was dealing with those injuries with the Titans, he didn't look too good. He had a terrible year last year, maybe the worst season of his career. There's still a lot of hope out there that he may be a top-tier cornerback with the Titans. But I've seen this story before with this organization. I'm going to give him one more season. But I'm not that high on L'Jarius Sneed right now. But he still has potential to be a very good man-to-man corner in certain situations. They need him to pan out on the back end of this defense, which once again speaks to the credit of the coaching. L'Jarius Sneed was not a good player last year, and their defense did not take a major step back, and even when he was out of the lineup. You have Roger McCreary. I really like him at the nickel cornerback position. He's a very good player. Jarvis Brownlee. We'll see what he can do long term. Last season, he was very solid. At the safety position, you bring in Xavier Woods, and you still have a Money Hooker. A Money Hooker is a very good safety. One of the most underrated safeties in the NFL. 2 forced fumbles, 47 solo tackles, 5 interceptions, and 9 pass deflections. So overall, with the offseason moves with the Tennessee Titans, I like what they've done. A couple moves I scratched my head about. I understand the Harold Landry decision to move on from him. Fully understand it. But to pay Dan Moore Jr. that much money, you can get away with making decisions like that right now because Cam Ward's on his rookie deal. And that'll be my biggest advice right now with the Tennessee Titans. Go out there, load up this roster. Cam Ward's on that rookie deal. Try to put as much elite talent on the field that you can. And the general manager that you have right now, he used to work in the front office with the Chiefs. He got to see what they did with Patrick Mahomes by building the right weapons around him and having Andy Reid go out there and make certain moves in the drafts. He was in that front office. So I trust him. It just comes down to the ownership with the Titans. If she could just stay out the way, the Tennessee Titans could be a special team in the foreseeable future. I'm not saying they're a playoff contender. I'm not saying that Cam Ward's going to go out there and be the next CJ or be the next Jaden Daniels and takes his team to the NFL playoffs and they go to the AFC Championship game, even though that would be awesome. At that point in time, we may be in a conversation to say that Cam Ward be one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. But give him time, give him some grace. He is a rookie. As far as the pass rushing with this team, to speak of one more player, Odejo, the edge rusher from UCLA, there's a lot of upside there. You selected him with the 52nd overall pick. 4.5 sacks last season, 57 solo tackles. He's one of those players I look at. He's very good against the run right now. Eventually, and you can see the pop on the tape, he has a lot of bend to his game. Usually when you have prospects like this, 9 times out of 10, they become very good sack producers for you in the future. I think he will be a very good pass rusher long term. Early on, it may be tough for him. But if he can stay healthy, he can go out there and learn how to work with his hands just a little bit more and continue to bend the edge at a quick rate. He can get to the quarterback at a consistent pressure. And sometimes it's not always about sacks. We fall in love with the sack numbers. We'll look at a player and say, man, he had 18 sacks on the season at the college level. It could be cleanup sacks. The fact that he had those 4.5 sacks and he had a high pressure rate with UCLA, he led them in pressures, says a lot about his game. He can get to the quarterback on a consistent basis. At the next level, I don't think he'll be as consistent early on, but over time, the potential will be there. And you did select Alec Manor. Very good wide receiver from Stanford. He's a big body outside wide receiver. 831 receiving yards last season, 6 receiving touchdowns. So don't sleep on some of those wide receivers that they brought in to play alongside Calvin Ridley. And we got to look at what the Tennessee Titans could do last season. Coach Callahan was skipping open wide receivers. Will Levis didn't see him on time. The processing wasn't there. And to go back to Cam Ward, that's what made Cam Ward the best quarterback in this draft class. The fact that he has those athletic tools, he has the arm, but it's his processing. He can scan the field at a quick rate. Will Levis could not do that. Will Levis still has a massive arm, but he tries to force the football into tight windows. Cam Ward, you didn't see much of that at Miami. He'll just throw wide receivers open. Will Levis couldn't do that. You look at Cam Ward, he can lead wide receivers up the field, take what the defense gives him. And those tight window throws, he can make those throws, but he's not going to force it into tight coverage and double coverage like how we've seen with quarterbacks in the past with the Tennessee Titans. I really hope that Cam Ward does work out, and I hope to see the Tennessee Titans in the NFL playoffs sooner than later. But let me know in the comment section below, how do you feel about the complete offseason for the Titans? If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, I want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for the video, guys. God bless.